Well, here's what I know. The first knowledge of that came out of the Sumerian records, 6,000 years old, the oldest records ever recorded. And they talked about another planet outside of this. Is Zecharia Sitchin's work in the 12th Planet book. And but he's not the only one. There's over 100 people that know how to read that language called cuneiform. And there they talk about how there's this massive planet that is rotating out further away from us, and that this planet comes back through every 3,600 years, and it moves in retrograde, in opposite direction to the rest of the solar system moving. It's coming in the opposite direction. And so there have been all these people on the internet, etc., saying that this is going to come in any minute, and they're talking about how you can see it. You can look at the sun, and if you look, you're going to see this thing, and it's the planet that's coming from behind the sun and all this stuff. Well, when NASA discovered that planet, which was done through a different kind of technology using two satellites like eyes and triangulating in on it, and
it's lasers or something, no? Laser technology.
it was a new idea of how to do it. And so when they discovered that planet, they were actually able to register its size, diameter, its mass, its speed, its direction, and were able to calculate clearly when that planet would arrive. I read this about 7 days after it was released when they found the planet. And what it says there is that planet will not arrive visibly into our solar system for a little over 500 years from now. And so all these people that are saying it's coming in any minute probably is not true. There's another interesting thing, though, that only just a couple weeks ago, they discovered 5 new planets. 5 brand new planets that they never knew were there. And 3 of these planets are bigger than Jupiter.
In our solar system?
In our solar system. Bigger than Jupiter. Huge. And so why didn't they know those were there? I got so many questions around this. One of these planets is so light they're calling it the styrofoam planet because it is has no mass. It's almost as though it's hollow and doesn't have any weight. And so all of that information is not filtered down into the public yet. I really am interested in what this is. So we've jumped from. But the entire solar system has now jumped by 5 planets plus 1, unless the planet X is one of those 5, which may be. We don't know that yet either. There's a lot of things we don't know. But why now? Why at this minute? Because when new planets are discovered, that's a new aspect of human consciousness in terms of astrology. And it will change astrology forever. Once we're aware of it, that's when the effect takes place. So the awareness of one planet, like planet X, is a big deal. 5 planets? And big ones? They're all big, but 3 of them are bigger than Jupiter, so Jupiter's no longer the largest planet in the solar system. I can only speculate what that is, but look when it's coming in. Right in this special window of the end of all the cycles, and at a time when human consciousness must jump to a higher level. From most of the indigenous people and the people I listen to around the world that I trust, this is a different time this time. We've been through many times where the cycle is a little less than 26,000 years, and we hit it approximately every 13,000 years. And but this cycle is different, and you can see how it's different when you study the Mayan calendar, because the Mayan long count is approximately 5,200 years. It's a little less than that, but it's a 5-pointed star, and it actually, if the stars, here's the beginning and end of the cycle of the precession of the equinoxes. It goes around. It does not meet at any of the places at all, but every 5th time it meets exactly. So 5 times 5,200 is 26,000. It corresponds once every 26,000 years to the precession of the equinoxes, and that's what's happening this time. And so this cycle's different, It's very different in all kinds of ways. And I'm sure other people would be able to add to these differences of what it is. But definitely we are in a very unique moment right now. And by suddenly coming in at this time where we're to have a transformation in consciousness, to have 5 or possibly 6 planets emerge in a very short amount of time, because it was only about, 12 years ago when NASA discovered Planet X. I don't know when it was exactly. And there are people who say that didn't happen, that NASA never did discover Planet X, although I read something from NASA that said that they did. There's still a lot of people out there that don't believe it. I don't know.
Well, they just discovered water in the moon.
Yeah, that's just recently. But they discovered water on Mars, and the Egyptians knew this at least 6,000 years ago, because Thoth was able to, he was the one that told me that they had, not only did they have water on Mars, they had oceans, and that Mars at one point looked exactly like the Earth. It was vast. But because of the wars they had on there, they blew away their atmosphere, and everything evaporated and everything died. And I know when I first wrote that, I had scientists that said I was crazy. But now they're discovering water on Mars, and now they're coming to the place with, wow, water was all over Mars. And I think, and the time ratio, by the way, was a little about 980,000 years ago, almost 1 million years ago, when that's when he says that it took place. We'll see. So far, everything he's told me has panned out to be true.
So why is, earlier you talked about that all these beings are in a way wanting to incarnate here in the planet. That's why we're like cramped, like a Michael Jackson concert.
Yeah.
And also beings from other dimensions or higher planes of awareness also are gathering to watch what is happening here. Why is Earth or this moment so unique?
Well, it has to do with our evolution, and some of this was written in the first books, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. We had a problem here, and which has to do with our sun changing itself from a hydrogen sun into a helium sun, which is another huge thing that's going on right at this very moment. And when suns and stars change at these moments, this also deeply affects consciousness. We have so many things affecting consciousness all at one, all these things going ding, 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 ding all at once. It's kind of crazy. But because of what was going on there, that sun had a pulse and expanded, and in order to keep us alive, an experiment took place on Earth from very specific ET races. One particular one, which was the Syrians, from Sirius B, third planet out, is where they originated from. And they did an experiment to help us because we were not in a consciousness level that could protect ourselves. If we truly understood that the external reality was an illusion and that we could affect it by our own meditation, we would be able to protect ourselves, but we don't understand that. So what they did is they created a field, and I don't need to go into exactly the details of what they did and how, but they created a field around the Earth that did two things. It was holographic in nature, which is what you were talking about, is how they I'll get back into that in just a moment. It was holographic in nature, meaning it was also an illusion, but they made the hologram around the Earth in such a way that we wouldn't know that they were doing anything. In other words, the hologram was synthetically created, but without trying to influence our evolution at all in any way. They created this hologram, and then they would start speeding up the evolution so that we would get to a place where we would be able to protect ourselves. That was the intention behind it, and then they would let the hologram go, and we'd never know, kind of thing. But
like an alternate reality.
Yes, but it had another thing too, and the way that they created it and the field that they created, it would also protect us from the intense heat of what was taking place. And so they did this. It's never been done before, ever, since the beginning of creation. And it wasn't even it wasn't even dreamed of by a human being or by the Syrians who came and did this. It was created by a single individual from a far distant place who dreamed it up a long time ago because they were having a similar problem there, but it was never tried. And so life has always thought, well, that might work, and they tried it here. So they speeded up our evolution. Well, what they didn't know is that it wasn't going to stop the evolution. It just kept going faster and faster and faster and faster. And that's what triggered this thing. We're sure of this. This is what started this very rapid evolution. The evolution now is moving so fast that we can't tell that what's happening to us. We think everything's normal. We think it's normal to have a little telephone that can talk to anybody in the world, and that we can fly to the Mars and to the moon and all. This is all normal stuff happening. But 100 years ago, almost everything in our reality would be considered not human, coming from somewhere else. This is, this is 100 years is just an instant in evolution. And so we've gone from riding horses to riding spaceships. And that evolution has just begun. We are going to go beyond the need to have technology, for one thing. We're almost at the end of that cycle. And that was written 6,000 years ago in the Vedas. It talked about how when we came to this part of the cycle, this point where we are right now, today, it talked about that 6,000 years ago, and that how we would learn about electricity and magnetism, how we would be able to fly through the sky in metal boxes. And then it says, in a single day, we throw it all away.